Ndera pange chungwa. So tpa konto ka.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bonano TV. This is our second show as a broadcasting company incorporated in Lusaka, Zambia. My name is Martha Chileshi and I'm broadcasting live this evening. Well, we know that the world today has mourned the death of Queen Elizabeth of the United Kingdom. At the age of 96, she was a towering figure in human history who lived through the 20th and 21st centuries. She met 5 popes, more than 12 presidents of the United States, and appointed at least 14 UK prime ministers. She is a symbol of dignity and stability for the British people. Quite frankly, I do not know anybody who doesn't respect her. We mourned with the British people here on Bonano TV and was put to rest on Monday, September 22. So this Sunday segment on Bonano TV is going to be called One-on-One with Dr. Kasonso, and I'm your host, like I said, Martha. We're going to talk about current issues in business and finance with a focus on Zambia. And I'll be connecting you to Dr. Kasonso in a little while, where we're going to discuss issues that pertain to the economy of Zambia. And I encourage you not to touch that dial. I encourage you to stay tuned. So here at Bonano TV, we monitor the performance of the kwacha. At the close of business this week, the US dollar to the kwacha was buying at 15 kwacha 17 way and selling at 15 kwacha 75. The British pound was buying at 17.72 and selling at 17 kwacha 78. The euro was buying at 15 kwacha 49 and selling at 15 kwacha 54, whilst the South African rand was buying at 0.89, selling at 19 way. The kwacha slightly depreciated against the dollar whilst making marginal gains. So we are joined by Dr. Kasonso, and he'll delve into issues of the economy, and he will introduce us to we'll discuss issues that pertain to the economy, but just about a brief bio of Dr. Kasonso. Dr. Kasonso is a resident expert. He is based in the US and has an experience in global business, and he's an accounting expert. He has a mother from Zambia and a father from Solwezi. Dr. Kasonso was born in Dola. He holds a BA. He holds a bachelor's degree in accounting from ASCCA Oxford Brookes University, UK, and an MBA accounting from Keller Graduate School of Management in Illinois, USA. He's a chartered global management accountant from the American Institute of Certified Public Accounts. He is licensed as a certified public accountant in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Dr. Kasonso has a Ph.D. in advanced accounting from the North Central University in San Diego, California. He works currently as a college professor of business accounting and a founder of and managing principal at a Washington, D.C.-based accounting firm in Tyson's Corner. I will be the host of this program here on Bonano TV, and many other great people will be joining us from time to time. So today I'm going to lay a foundation for subsequent programs by discussing with Dr. Kasonso some of the popular misconceptions in Zambia about this IMF deal struck by the New Dawn administration, the conditions of the IMF, the impact of the conditions of the IMF that have and leads to families and firms here in Zambia. We also examine if the conditions of the IMF are impacting and how they are going to improve the standards of the Zambian people. So I encourage you to share your discussions on Facebook, and as you describe this, just stay tuned. You are also, take note that we are also live on YouTube. Dr. Kasonso, you are welcome to this program this evening. I make welcome.
Hello, Martha. How are you today?
I'm all right, Doc. Good to connect. Good to connect. How is the US this evening or this afternoon?
These United States are arrayed in great weather today here in the middle of the country, and I am excited to be here to, discuss the current issues in business with you, and also, provide very important and pertinent information that most of our people don't have access to. And Martha, I always say too much information is better. Many people have delved into this topic, and I'm excited to also take our turn to be able to speak about this IMF deal and its cross-cutting effect on the Zambian economy in the next couple of years. Thank you.
Perfect, Doctor. So before we delve into the details of this discussion, we know that there are a lot of misconceptions about the IMF deal. So what are the main misconceptions, Doc? And why is there so much negativity towards the IMF in dealing with perhaps maybe some sectors of the opposition and people that are new, to this topic?
Thank you, Martha, for that brilliant question. The first thing that we have to think about is the history of the dealings with the IMF. In the past, Zambia has had dealings with the IMF that policy-wise, they were successful, but didn't work out very well for the populace.
Right.
In my living memory, I remember it was the government of the Republic of Zambia and the President Frederick Chiluba that implemented the structural adjustment program, and the ESAF, the structural adjustment facility, extended the structural adjustment facility. So those changes into the Zambian economy created mass unemployment, did not result in the conditions improving for the people. So when it comes to Zambia, the IMF the IMF policies do not have a good track record. And that is why you see people have a bit of misgivings towards that. So the first misconception is the general population, particularly voices from the opposition, trying to characterize this IMF deal as the same thing as what happened in the past. That is a misconception because the terms of reference are different and the times have changed. Now, the other misconception that is there is a misconception, particularly those who are sympathetic to the government. They think that the implementation of the IMF deal will automatically lead to improvements in the conditions of living for the people. We know that it is not that automatic. We know that fiscal discipline or fiscal consolidation and fiscal just managing money well of the country can create a good country on paper, but that doesn't automatically translate into the improvements in the conditions of living. So we have to conduct secondary steps and secondary research and implement secondary policies to go and directly adjust people's welfare where they are. And I think that that is where we have to give a chance to this deal, because it seems to me that they have taken some of those precautions to some degree. So there is a misconception that the way it was in the past, that's the way it will be today. And there's a misconception just because we struck this deal, everything is going to go great. It's not automatic, Martha. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of mobilization of the country and the population to make sure that the financials that are going to be corrected on paper are also going to result in strategic improvements in the conditions of living for our people in the country. So those are the two ranges of the classes that are broader categorizations of misconceptions.
Thank you, Prof. I hear you loud and clear. You're saying it's going to take a little bit of effort. It's going to take the involvement of everybody. Thank you for that brilliant explanation. So tell me, Prof, what are the conditions of the IMF deal? Somebody might be wondering or having that kind of a question. Would you bring us up to speed to that regard?
Yeah, to understand the conditions, we have to delve into what this particular document actually is and what is contained therein. To understand the conditions, you don't read that document and see, oh, these are the conditions that the IMF wants. So, and then coupled with that, we have a poor reading culture in our country. So I did take a good bite into the entire document. It's about 135 pages. And to understand the conditions, we have to look at the pledges of government to achieve the deal. The pledges of government to achieve the deal. I would like to just give a shout out to my friend, Dr. Tobias Mutale over there. Hi, Doctor, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Dr. Kasonso, and hi, Martha.
Yeah.
Good evening, Doctor. So good to have you here, Dr. Mutale.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us live from Cape Town. How is the Cape of Good Hope?
The Cape of Good Hope is still okay. We are still hopeful that the situation of electricity will improve here.
Right.
Yeah, we have been having terrible blackouts in the entire nation. So we are hoping that things will improve, because the economy can't grow without electricity. Electricity is an important aspect of growing the economy. Yeah.
You are right, Doctor.
So we'll be bringing back Dr. Mutale with a contribution at a later stage. Let's first exhaust a little bit of the topic. For now, he will return to the background. Yeah. So the conditions, the way, Martha, the conditions have to be understood is that what are some of the things that government has done? There is a school of thought that thinks that the IMF gave Zambia the conditions. This is what you must do so that we can help you with this much. First of all, substantively, what the support is, the extended credit facility is, it's kind of what we call working capital support in a business. If we're running a business, it's working capital support. So what that means is that you borrow some money, low cost money that won't cost you too much, probably a negligible interest rate, or in this case, a zero-rated interest rate. You borrow that money, and then that money is cushioning your budgets from time to time when you have disconnects within differences between your expenditures and your incomes. So that is what this facility is. It's money that gets injected into your economy and can help you bridge the gaps between different things, and particularly as you seek to pay off huge sums of debt and other things. So the things I wanted us to think about in terms of conditions. First of all, this is not this is not an imposed deal. It is a deal that was worked out by the government of the Republic of Zambia and the IMF. So when the government says it is homegrown, it is really homegrown because the policies that they have pledged to implement between the year 22 and the medium from this year and the medium term are what would constitute conditions. And basically, maybe I would say in 5 categories. But I'll focus on the first one called fiscal policy reforms. Fiscal policy reforms. What are those reforms that the government intends to implement in the economy as a result of this deal? And that is what we should delve into right now. And the first one has to do with the objective, fiscal deficits. When we talk about fiscal deficits, what the government, what we have there are the fact that the country is spending more money than it is bringing in. So this government inherited a government that was spending more than the money that it was bringing in. That situation is called a fiscal deficit. So the government wants to move away from having a fiscal deficit and to go into having a surplus. What that means is this government wants to be earning more money than it is spending. And as a result, they've pledged certain things that are going to happen in the economy in the near term. The first thing is in regards to efficiency through tax administration. They intend to introduce automation of the tax system so that they are able to increase and maximize the revenue that is going to come into the coffers. So basically what their commitment is to obtain this credit facility is that they are going to increase their revenues. They are going to increase their revenues, first of all, by dealing with bottlenecks in the tax system. And another condition is they are going to increase their earnings from copper. Now, the government is saying they are going to increase their earnings from copper. Now, this is where they are bumping into problems with the opposition, because most people in the opposition groups think that the way to increase revenues from copper mining is to increase the tax rate. But this is a 3-year plan. But the benefits from the tax rate are usually between 3 to 5 years, because the tax calculations that are done and the implementation of those means that the taxes are not always a reliable way to increase your revenues as a government. So what this government has done is to agree with the mines to increase the production so that they can be able to get royalties. The royalties are calculated off of the revenue. So if the production is increased and the copper prices are as high as they are, their strategy to increase the revenues are through royalties on increased production, top of money, not bottom half money, which is through a tax. So they've decided to maintain their tax regime, but they are also going to enforce the tax regime. So that is part of their mobilization of resources. And then the other thing, Martha, is what we see is government does not intend to cut expenditure from the current levels. No. So the conversation about austerity is a little bit overrated, because the government, what the government is doing here is to increase its revenue base, but and keep the spending levels where they've pitched them from the year 2022, and probably make adjustments as they go. And so the other thing here that we see, Martha, is that there will be no cuts to the agricultural programs, at least not for this year, and that they intend to use that area. So they've made a commitment that they are going to keep agricultural support at the level at which it is right now. And the other thing that we see amongst these conditionalities is on we are going to see the subsidies removed from the fuel and the energy sector. So those subsidies that they used to put on fuel are going to be removed, but the removal of those subsidies have been graduated and strategically moved in the period of the facility. And then what they are doing with that is the revenues that are earned and redirected at other sectors of the economy are going to cushion the impact of the removal of those subsidies. And also the other thing is the funding of the budget through special drawing rights. Special drawing rights.
Yes, Prof.
Basically, that's how I would summarize up the the conditions. The conditions is a pledge from our government to increase revenues so that they can be able to, within their means, and allow them to structure the debt and pay and start paying off on those debts. And also, in the meantime, have operating money for other operations and not run out of the ability to pay for the expenses, short-term expenses as they fall due. Yeah, that's about the conditions matter.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kasonso, and thank you for a brilliant explanation. And I'm glad that you have rightly put it or explained to say that the government has no intentions on readjusting the agricultural aspect in any fashion. Thank you, Prof. We'll take a step further. Perhaps you explain to us what impact will the conditions of the IMF have on the Zambian economy in the shortest possible time?
In the short term, Martha, that's actually an excellent question because
Are
we
you
have
there,
to.
Prof?
Hello. In the short term, we are going to see right now the economy is actually operating under the IMF deal that they pledged. This government started implementing these policies before they even got their deal approved. So the things that you see in the economy happening is exactly what they agreed to do with IMF. And that's why they prepared this and they're moving on their strategy as a government. So the impact is, number one, we expect to start seeing economic growth at a higher percentage. Already, we have seen a growth of about 5% of GDP because the economy had a negative growth rate, and now it is growing at around 2-3%. So with heightened economic activity, expansion of production in the copper mines, and the speeding up of investments in agriculture, we are going to see the economy begin to expand and grow. We are going to see the economy begin to expand and grow, and we're going to see an increased inflow of low-cost capital in the economy. That is what we can expect in the short term. And also with the discipline that we are seeing at the Bank of Zambia, we can see we can also see that if they continue to manage the way they're managing the currency and the expenditure in the economy, we'll see that any productive growth, internal productive growth from the country within the Republic of Zambia is actually going to create a bigger and more robust economy because of increased economic activity. That is what we can expect. We expect the rate of inflation to continue going down and the prices of commodities to stabilize. And we expect that there's going to be more and more increased economic activity. But safe to say, Martha, this must come deliberate, and government must be forthright and upfront in motivating and mobilizing the country, because it's not the government that grows the economy. It's the individuals, the families, the decisions they make, and how those government policies are impacting them or promoting their activities to get involved in the economy. So both Zambians abroad and Zambians at home have the responsibility to grow the economy in growing products that can increase the national income in the global economy. And that is how the ability to pay off debts will come, increasing, reducing unemployment, massive unemployment, and creation of expanding the small business sector and the like. Yeah. So that's the general outlook and impact on the economy, Martha.
Thank you, Prof. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. I must say that it's encouraging and actually brightening to hear that eventually we'll see the economy of the nation begin to stabilize and to grow and expand, And eventually we are looking forward to a time when we see the commodity of the basic prices, begin to stabilize and to go down. Thank you for that explanation, Prof. I would like maybe you explain to us what kind of impact will this deal, the IMF deal, have on the Zambian families?
The direct one has to do with the income taxes. There is going to be a marginal increase in income taxes, but the government is not increasing income taxes beyond the increases that happen annually. It is the same proportion. It's a graduated increase. It's not an increase out of proportion. So that because of that, right, we have to dispel the idea that there is going to be new pain coming to Zambian families. That more than what is happening right now, where most of Zambia's earnings are going just to service the debts. I think the near future we are going to see more relief, rather than seeing austerity measures. That kind of tend to cripple families. So the families those who work can expect a minor increase in the income taxes. So, and if that is consistent with people's pay raises, it shouldn't cause much problems. And two, the heightened economic activity is going to see more people employed. And if more people are employed, then family stability is going to come. Yes, it's a good thing that the government did employ 30,000 teachers, and we can categorize those public sector jobs. But where we are, and those type of jobs, however, in the thousands, 40,000, just a little drop in the ocean. What I would advocate for is to pin the economy in a way that the economy gets into a swell of activity, business activity, growing foodstuffs, expansion of new industries, and establishing that the jobs that the economy creates in the private sector that will put a serious dent in the unemployment. But for government to participate by employing some civil servants, it means that it is going in the right direction. But what we need is the private sector to be able to pick up the baton and improve the conditions for the families. So the families can expect their electricity bill to also go up. So the way to prepare people for those type of things is to also make an understanding that those are mainly affected by the improvements that are being made at ZESCO to improve its profitability. And if ZESCO gets proper investments and also is restructured well, and with the expansion of the grid, the electric grid in Zambia, and the increase of the increase in the supply of electricity, we don't see those type of increases to be to introduce a shock to the family budget. There will be incremental marginal changes in that regard. So, but what we have to have is an increase in the salaries of people. We also have to have it coupled with the creation of new job opportunities in different industries.
Right. Excellent, Prof. I hear you say that we have to pin our energies and our activities into growing the economy of the country by promoting agricultural products or farming activities to that effect. Thank you, Prof, for that beautiful explanation. Tell us now how this will impact, what impact will the conditions of the IMF deal have on the Zambian firm? You have explained to us the impact on the families. I'd like to go a step further and explain the impact on the firms.
Yeah, thank you, Martha, for that question. When we talk about the impact on the firms, first of all, we have to know that the goal of the central government is to expand economic activity. and is to improve conditions for doing business. So firms are going to see more competition for their services because new companies are going to come in. Firms can also expect to see firms are going to see, because firms are also part of the income tax regime. Firms are also going to see, save for corporations. Individuals who start businesses are taxed on their personal revenues, so that is outrightly on families. But firms are going to see opportunities to build products they can sell in export markets, opportunities for partnerships, and opportunities for venture low-cost capital, and also opportunities to have expanded credit facilities. So when the government is borrowing from outside the country, it reduces its ability to borrow from internal resources. And because of that, the firms are going to have more opportunities to have places and banks where they can borrow money. So government will move away from that market, and the firms will have more opportunities for recapitalization. So as the government is getting its working capital from abroad, the firms can have their working capital from their banks.
Lovely. Wow, that's beautiful. I must say that when the signing eventually came as a reality, Prof, there was high level of jubilation in different sectors, of government, different in the NGO world, in the private sector. So I want to mention that surely the people are looking forward to begin to see those results in the firms, the results in the families, the positive, impact according to what you have explained. Thank you so much. Will meeting the conditions of the IMF deal, Professor, lead to the improvements in the standards of living for the Zambian people?
In this case, let's be hopeful. But more than hopeful, let's also be strategic. We know that in the past, we've been on this type of programs before. I remember during the Mwanawasa government, all the numbers were looking good, and Zambia became a middle-income country. But that middle-income country was not reflective of the poverty levels at household levels, level. So it's not automatic that it will lead to improvements in the standards of living for Zambians. But what we need to see that coupled with these policy implementations and fastening things within the fiscal structure of government spending, revenues and expenditures, we are able to see more strategic interventions. For example, a very useful intervention is taking money to where the local communities are through the constituency development funds. But the disbursements and the spending strategy, how that money reaches those families, it needs a lot of quick action and improvement so that money, the coffers are empty, that money is in the economy. That is how that intervention will be able to work, and it will be able to lead to improvements. Yes, we are going to see several areas that will improve. For example, in the education sector, the employment of so many teachers is going to help. The employment of so many health workers is going to help. The employment of agricultural specialists and people who help in that area is going to create a certain level of activity. The expansion of production in the mines is going to lead to that. So if the government's bargain is met, and the interventions at household levels are there, the standards of living can be expected to improve. And then we must always track how many jobs did the economy create this month? Where did they create those employment, those jobs? And how much money did we earn from our exports over imports? And how much of the money are we getting from the exports into the economy? So those are the type of things that will lead to improvements in the standards. And people have to look out for opportunities. And then another strategic area, Martha, if we are going to have the small medium scale industry business, which will give us improved credit for small businesses, then we can create economic activity that ensures Zambia is gaining money from the global economy and not just losing money. In the past 30 years, most of what we have done is losing money to the global economy. We lose money through exports of goods, and the money that doesn't come back, we only get a small bit of it. But we have to have homegrown corporations that are exporting to other countries, and then we are earning that money to improve the conditions at home. I think that it's a hopeful situation if we can especially restructure the debts and have some of the interest, because these bonds, the way they are calculated, is that their value, they have to be valued at fair market value when it comes to the interest rates and other things. So they increase. So if we can get some good debt servicing that will allow the government to have more money to spend in the economy, then we can be hopeful that the standards of living for Zambians will continue. But clearly the country is on the right path, and we couldn't do anything else other than this. And where we are heading, it looks like we can have hope that we are doing something about our economy and our people and everything.
Thank you so much, Professor. In case somebody is just joining us this evening, we are talking about the critical questions, the prospects of the Zambian economy past the IMF deal. And joining us this evening or this afternoon, depending on where you're catching us live from, we are discussing one-on-one with Dr. Kasonso. And in case you're just joining us, these are the critical issues, and he has explained to us perfectly well. Professor, you brought in Dr. Mtale a while ago. I think would like to hear feedback or his concerns or his suggestions regarding this topic this evening.
Let's try to see him. And whilst we're waiting for Dr. Mtale, we can listen.
Hi, I'm John Ankerberg. I want to welcome all of you today to the conference. I'd like to be right there with you so I could talk with you. And it would be a great benefit to you and a great benefit to the folks that are there listening to this.
Dr. Mtale is not here. He is offline. So we continue to talk about the current issues in business, and catch us next time. And thank you, Martha. Your closing remarks.
Thank you, Prof, for joining us and for that brilliant presentation. And we're looking forward to our next segment, Prof, on this Bonano TV Live, one-on-one with Dr. Kasonso. I am Martha Chilesia, your host for this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Catch us next